Have you ever been close to going out of business?
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
No.
I went to my business coach about this, and he said, yep, I have that same problem. That's why I hired somebody else to do my firing for me. Because he recognizes it's a weakness for him.
I was wondering, how did you ever come up with the Dorito Taco Pizza?
Getting a group of people to not just pursue their personal motives, but yet see collectively that the bigger picture, that if you will focus on what's best for the business, that you benefit individually, instead of getting them to connect the dots, that if you just focus on what is best for you individually, you're going to destroy what we're collectively working on, and then you're not going to get what you want anyway. We started the whole documenting the journey back in 2020. And it was okay, it's time for chapter 2, but let's go a completely different direction, and then getting it into the interview format and allowing you guys to be able to just ask whatever you wanted to ask.
That's cool.
So yes, and it was well, candidly, before I even get to the questions, I mean, you've worked in here, and then you left, and then you came back, which we were, one, you left the right way, you were great in your time in here, so we were ecstatic when you actually came back and said that you wanted to come back. But then that leads into your thoughts and opinions of, and are there questions that you're out of your own curiosities, because I am an eternally curious individual, that I'm like, I might be different than most people, but I think curiosity is, a lot of people have that trait.
Yeah.
But before we start, Velez, how long have you actually worked for me?
I think about a year, because I left like 2 years ago, I think. I started working in like 2020, I think. Okay. And then I came back in like April or May of this year. So it's been a while.
Okay.
At least I at least have like been on the job like for like at least a year, but I've known this place and I've wanted to come back for like a really long time. So.
And the thing is that 20 years, 400 people, there have been some people that I can't remember. There have been some people that I wanted to put my foot in their ass on the way out the door. And there have been some people that I have really appreciated that have come in and contributed to the greater good. And you know, I think a job is a grind, and food and beverage is stressful, and not everybody can take that stress when the rush is on. Yeah. I couldn't ask for better as far as like, that you would show up on time, that you would show up with a good attitude, that people would be like, okay, Velez is here. That is that great contributing member that when you show up, everybody's like, okay, somehow we just got stronger. Things just got a little bit better for the shift because you have that type of personality and character.
Yeah, I always want to like make people feel like they feel safe around me, like they have somebody to rely on,
and that's the reliability. And you know what? It's like I don't want to beat people up in general, but just the same way that I'm like, loyalty is hard to come by.
Yeah, apparently.
Yes. Well, accountability is hard to come by. Reliability is hard to come by. So when you see it, it's like, okay, go out of your way to appreciate that individual and acknowledge those traits that are. So I'm right up front, like I am ecstatic to have you as part of the team, because you have always held yourself very accountable. You have always been very reliable. You have always been a pleasure to work with, whether it be me or just observing the team and all of them being happy to work with you. So
I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you very much for doing this.
No problem. I mean, like, I'm willing to do anything, honestly. Like, I'm willing to try new things, do whatever, like, to get me out of my comfort zone and, like, explore new things, you know?
For the growth.
Yeah.
Is it for the growth, or is it just the curiosity?
Maybe it's both, you know? Like, I feel like there can be, like, a good, like, even portion of both. Like, mostly for my experience and, like, for other people to, you know, enjoy.
Well, and this is something that, I know very little about. I was told you were pretty musically inclined.
Yeah, I am, actually. I was in band for a really long time in school. Let me think, like 3, 4, maybe 8 years. I was playing a lot of different instruments. mainly percussion, and I got really good at the vibraphone, and I know how to jazz improv on the vibraphone.
Really?
Yeah. So like my band director would never give me any music and would just like let the band play, and then I just listen to the band and be like, okay, you know what would be cool here? This. And then I do whatever. And he was completely fine with it. He never gave me like any sheet music ever.
And he lets you ad lib and it add. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's cool.
He even let me solo a bunch. And like at competitions, like he said that there was this judge, like they have like a judge list, and like they're just supposed to like mark numbers, like the lower the score, like the better it is. It's kind of like golf. Mm-hmm. And they like put check marks like everywhere for my solo, and like nobody has ever seen that like before, from what my band director said. And like other band directors were talking about it too, and it was just like really cool to know that like all this effort I put into my instrument, because I put a lot of time. Like you don't just get good at it like out of nowhere. You got to put in the time to get better. And I feel like I've carried that across like a lot of different things too. I feel like learning an instrument taught me how to like, you know, perceive a lot of different things better, and like understand that it takes time to learn things, and you got to put in the effort to get better at them. And like I feel like I'm a perfect example of that, because I know how to ad lib on like the vibraphone and improv and like do solos, and that didn't just come out of nowhere. It took a lot of practice. And yeah,
but it's I think that it's the interest.
Yeah, that's
it's like I don't even know if it has to be a passion, but you're not going to get good at something if you're not going to practice, and you're not going to practice if you don't take an interest in.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always used to just like practice random songs that I just liked. Like I never really like looked at any sheet music or whatever. I just kind of did what I liked. And like apparently that got me really far in like playing my instrument. So that's really cool.
No, because I'm on that end of it. It's very gratifying when the work itself, it impresses other people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That too. And like just to have people coming up to me being like, "You're the best musician in this room." Somebody literally came up to me like during my graduation, and like we had like a bunch of professional musicians like inside the band like playing with us, like people that my band director brought in. Mm-hmm. And this person comes up to me and he goes, "You're the best musician in this entire room," after hearing the solo I did. And it just like that stuck with me for a really long time. You know, it's like it still sticks with me today, because it's like it did pay off. Like, you know, people really thought that I was really good at this instrument, and it feels good, you know.
Mm-hmm. No, because I'm just sitting here going, is it something that you're going to pursue?
I've thought about it. I don't know if I want like a hobby to become my job, something that I'm stressed about, you know. So I'm just like,
it's not coming to me.
Yeah, exactly. That would be horrible, you know. Yeah. I think I'd rather just keep it as a hobby, something that maybe I could earn money from later. If it expands into something bigger, then I'll probably try and do that. But for now, I just see it as a hobby and something I do for fun. I still meet up with my grandpa every Tuesday night, and I play with him and like play music with him. He plays the bass. We just kind of like play a random YouTube song, and then it like goes down a bunch of random songs, and we just play along to it all night. And it's so great.
That is such an awesome way to bond with your grandpa.
Yeah, and it really is. I'm really happy I'm able to do that every Tuesday night, because it's like I'm able to hang out with my grandparents, bring my family together, like with this thing that I've learned. It feels so good, and like it's really fulfilling.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, well, you have some questions for me, so let's just start rolling through them, and we'll see how the conversation goes.
I'll ask you the first one, which is about the products or whatever. I was wondering, how did you ever come up with the Dorito Taco Pizza? That's a very interesting and cool pizza, and a lot of people really like it.
Oh man, I mean, that's what we sell that, and I know that you've seen it here lately, where we've had to go buy bags of Doritos, but there's no. Okay, now you guys have got to weigh them, and that's why I went with the bags, so that it was a pre-proportion for an exact amount on, no matter the size. And I called the service rep, and I'm like, I don't think that you guys understand how bad it is when you let us run out of Doritos. Like, we're not just selling bags of Doritos on the rack. Like, it's one of our major sellers. I can't run out of Doritos. So, pizza industry-wise, everybody has a taco pizza. So it was like, well, when I was starting out, I got to have a taco pizza. But when I was a kid, it was a special treat for us that Mom made taco salad. And the two things that made her taco salad different from everybody else's, Catalina dressing and Doritos. And like, I don't do the salsa sour cream on nacho. Like, I will make my own taco salads, and it's always Catalina and Doritos. It takes me back to being a kid. But as a kid, I mean, we had nothing. So it was a treat that I went from, you know, you go into the grocery store and you don't get Kraft, you get the knockoff. So the fact that we got Doritos, the name brand, the good chip, was like a big deal. So when I had to do a taco pizza, it was like a natural. I'm like, why would you put tortilla chips on there like Doritos? And yes, once we come up with the Dorito Taco Supreme, it was like a home run. And then anybody else I would see talking about having a taco pizza, I'm laughing because I'm like, you're not even doing this pizza justice because you're not putting Doritos on it. Like, what is your malfunction?
Yes.
And you know, it's almost like you get sick of it because, you know, most all of the pizzas are like, build them, put them in the oven, pull them out, cut them.
Yeah, that one's
Dorito is one of them that it's got so many things that have to be done on the after bake.
Yeah, but I think that it actually goes really well, though. I think that it's a very cool pizza, and it's very neat.
Yes, it is. And I mean, I hate to, what makes a ham sandwich better? Doritos. I literally would like mayo on both sides and ham and cheese on both sides and open up a bag of Doritos and put it in the middle and crunch them down, and it's like ham and cheese sandwich with Doritos. Like, that's a great freaking sandwich. So no, that was in the dreaming up of, it was just, to me, it only natural. If you're going to have a taco pizza, why wouldn't you use so common sense to me, apparently it comes across as original looking at other pizza places.
Yeah, I know, it really does, because it's just so different from like anything I've ever seen. I've never seen like a pizza like be made like that before. It's just, I feel like it's really special.
Yes, no, it is, and obviously, you know, we sell a ton of the Supremes.
I know we do.
But for me, honestly, it wasn't a creative for me. It was a common sense. Like, that was my brain. As I'm making this pizza, I'm like, why wouldn't you use Doritos?
It's just so good. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll go to the next question. Oh yeah, I was wondering, would you ever consider having a place for live music inside of Coffee Junkiez or anywhere?
Short answer, yes. Middle answer, we have tried it, or we have opened it up before. I mean, even right down to having poetry readings. Longer answer. When Starbucks built their business, they built it with the third place concept. And Schultz swears that he could quit selling coffee, and because of his community gathering, decor, ambiance, attractiveness, that he could still run a profitable business. When I got into business, I didn't have that kind of money, so it was very much about caffeine distribution, selling high-octane caffeine energy drinks to people through a drive-through. Obviously, with the storefront, we've got it where anytime people have talked about it, it has been if you want to do it, we will open up the space to let you actually do it. I don't have a problem with it, but I've got a friend of mine that owns a bar, and the amount of time that I watch him put into booking the gig and then promoting the event to get everybody to show up, it was like, candidly, that's outside of my wheelhouse. When it comes to booking and promoting, and it's not something that I have ever mastered, and that's why we don't have a lot of it, because mine was always the majority of the business going through the drive-through. So the people that have come to us and said, could we do? Absolutely, we have been more than willing, putting effort into it to say, we're going to make this a core piece of what defines the brand and what people know about us. It's not my core competency, so it's something that I haven't invested time in as far as to actually develop it. So I know that it's out there, and I'm fully willing, but it's not something that I know.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be cool if there was like a stage or something, like maybe somewhere.
And that's the thing, is that the outside, where I'm like,
oh yeah,
I paid a lot of money to make that deck, and I would love to see it full of people in some capacity. But just like the concessioning, you got to plan it ahead of time, and then you got to cross your fingers and hope the weather cooperates.
Yeah,
and
so
that's where it's been that hit or miss, where it's been we'll sponsor events, we'll contribute to events, but taking up the mantle of being responsible for pulling an event together and knowing it all hinges on the weather being right, people actually showing up. Again, it's not my core competency, so it's just something that I've stayed away from.
Yeah, and that's understandable. All right. What do you look for in someone when you're hiring somebody?
That is one of those similar questions that's come up.
Yeah, I thought it would.
No. Well, and here's the thing, because I don't have a great answer. And I say that because my brain has this weird thing about I will chart things in my head because I'm always looking for patterns.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Some of my worst interviews have turned into some of the best team members. Some of the best interviews have been some of the worst team members.
Man.
So it really is a gauging people and giving somebody a chance and taking a shot. And then I get into how does that affect the team? Well, a part of my background as a union rep was I believe everybody deserves a second chance in life. So we will have second chance people come in, and I will extend that second chance. Sadly, most people that get given a second chance screw it up just the same way when they were given their first chance. I've given third chances, and I will not give third chances anymore because I've never not once had a third chance work out. And the second chances that fail end up having a negative effect on the team as a whole. But I'm saying that because it's like, when it comes to the coffee side of it, generally it's like, believe it or not, interacting with people drains me. I recharge my batteries in solitude. I have more introverted tendencies.
Yeah, definitely me too.
So when it comes to the girls up front, I need to hire people that have more extroverted tendencies because I need them to be okay with talking to strangers and greeting people when they come in the door and striking up 30, 60, 90-second conversations with perfect strangers at the counter or at the drive-through window. Because as I tell them, like, it's not even about frowning. If you're interacting with somebody straight-faced, you're leaving it open for them to interpret how you're thinking about that interaction.
Yeah.
So if you're not smiling, you're automatically leaving the door open for them to say, oh, well, that was a negative experience.
Yeah,
so towards that end of it, it's like, I need extroverted people. I need people that are naturally smilers or not afraid to smile.
Yeah, so that way, like, they don't feel like they're, like, being judged or, like, take it something the wrong way. Like, they'd rather just straight to the point, give them a good experience. Yeah.
No, because the thing is, you can be the most efficient at handling somebody's request or need or service, but if you're not doing it with a smile, you run the risk of them walking out going, well, they hurried me along and they were rude to me. And I'm like, I'm looking back at the camera going, no, I know their personality. They were just very fast and they were very efficient so that they could get on to the next task. But because they didn't take 30 seconds and blow smoke up your ass and kiss your ass and give you big smiles to let you know how much they appreciated you, you automatically wanted to assume that it was a negative experience. No, those individuals are just very efficient individuals. Yeah. And that's where I said the girls up front, I need more of that bubbliness. In the back, I don't necessarily need that bubbliness. So what do I need? What do I look for? Well, I need people that want to be a part of a team. It works out better when you are a strong addition to a team and you're comfortable working by yourself, because some people are very comfortable working by themselves and they're just not good, strong team additions. But on the overall, me being me, I need high responsibility, I need high accountability. So I look for people that show signs that they are not victim mentality, that they are readily willing to hold themselves accountable and able to admit mistakes and when they're wrong without thinking that they're being beat up about it or beating themselves up about it, because mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow.
Yeah, that's the only way to learn and grow is to make mistakes. Yeah.
The thing is, how do you find that out in an interview process.
Yeah, that must be tricky. Do you have like any strategies that you would use to like figure that out, or?
Over time, through books, reading, research, and just having different people involved, there are some key questions that can be asked inside of interviews to determine whether you have a tendency towards a victim mentality or whether you are willing to hold yourself accountable, take responsibility for whatever happened. It's like life either happens to you or for you or because of you, and that mindset of where is somebody coming from. If we detect that you're one of those you don't take responsibility for anything and life is just happening to you, chances are you're going to find a way to be a victim in everything that you do, and that mentality is not going to go well inside of our group.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a negative mindset to have. You got to like perceive things like, I don't know, like this is a learning experience, and if I mess up, life goes on. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, and because you get back into the Stoics, like there were a couple people in history that literally unlocked the code to living a happy, fruitful life.
Yeah.
But internet didn't exist, so that you didn't have any way of disseminating that information to the masses. And that's the whole thing about, like, back then is different. Today, the victim mentality, no excuse. You are choosing to carry yourself through life that way. You are choosing to live a miserable existence, because if you go looking, the information is out there in how to function in a high vibration, how to seek truth and hold yourself accountable and view lessons as the life's learning journey for development and growth. The information is out there to say, these are the secrets to life. Yeah. You just have to be interested in searching for them, because today all you got to do is literally Google like secrets to life.
Yeah, I know people would have killed for that. Like back then, they would have been like, man, how do I deal with this problem? They would have had to talk to a therapist. But now you can like look it up. I mean, I still talk to a therapist, but like now you can just look it up and like have somebody talk to you and tell you like what you're feeling and like what you might be going through and like what mindset you should have and like certain things. So yeah.
No, and that's the thing. That's one of the beauties. You know, there's intended and unintended consequences of the internet, because there's a lot of things that like I try and stay offline because that world is not reality. Like this is reality.
Yeah, exactly.
But information dissemination is like, I remember when I was a kid and I would say, Grandpa, how do you spell? And he would say, I don't know, look it up in the dictionary. And it was because he was trying to program me, be self-sufficient, go find your own answers, and the encyclopedia is a wealth of information.
Yeah.
Today, if I told you to go look it up in the encyclopedia, either one, you would just look at me like I was stupid because it's easier to pull out the phone and have Google, or you would look at me and say, what the hell is an encyclopedia? Because everything is just simply Google it. And
yeah, I know. And I kind of wish that like maybe people need to look at an encyclopedia more every once in a while, because like there's still a lot more information in there to learn about that like you might not know about that you want to know about. You know?
Well, and that's where it comes back to taking the interest.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask you the next question.
No problem.
Have you ever had trouble firing somebody?
It's my Achilles heel.
Yeah.
That my dream job, I was a union steward inside of Chrysler.
Yeah.
My job was to dissect all of the circumstances of the situation and get my constituent a second chance. Stop them from being fired. Argue the circumstances of the situation to ask for a second chance to keep them out of trouble. My background is in serving people, not separating myself from them and firing them. Today, I have evolved where I am very much protective of my energy and of my time, to where if I feel negativity from somebody or I don't think that you're a good person, it is easy for me to totally cut you off and walk away, to say, don't want you in my bubble, don't want you anywhere near me. Firing people is the hardest thing for me. And honestly, it's what lets me know that I'm still a good person. Because if I was just a ruthless person that I could just fire anybody at the drop of a hat, I might look at myself in the mirror and look at myself differently. So I don't beat myself up too bad about it that firing is hard for me. But if I fire you or I walk away from you, you've really fucked up. Because it has got to be such a horrible line in the sand that I'm willing to build up the going against my grain in everything I know about myself. If I am mad enough to where I'll fire you, like, you majorly screwed up and you need to be completely out of my world, because it's the hardest thing for me. I have my own managers pissed at me because I won't separate from people fast enough, because I always think I can get them to see from my perspective. I can get them to understand the error of their ways when it comes to the victim mentality. I can talk to people and I can turn this around. I can see potential in people and I can motivate them to chase their own potential. Yeah. And the reality is, I've learned I can't. I can be an example to what it looked to. What's that?
You can want what's best for people.
No, I can want what's best for them, but I can't. Only you can motivate yourself to chase your potential. I can be a motivating factor by living my own life by certain standards and principles and being an example, but every time that I have thought I can get somebody and motivate somebody to want to chase their own potential, it has always been a waste of my own time and energy in general. So it's that middle ground where live a life that I hope people look at and say, hey, I can take good pieces from that, but I know that firing people is always going to be a weak spot for me. And candidly, I went to my business coach about this, and he said, yep, I have that same problem. That's why I hired somebody else to do my firing for me. Because he recognizes it's a weakness for him. Yeah. And it's like, I tell them all, no one person is more important than the entire group. Yeah. So I have managers that if there is one person that is negatively affecting the entire group, they don't have a. I'm trying to think of the movie, and it wasn't a good scene, but it resonated with me. They had just kidnapped this girl, and the guy's walking up to her, and he's trying to get her to like spill her guts or conform, and she's being difficult, and he's like, I need information out of you, and I am not the type of person. I won't hit a woman. So I can't beat it out of you. However, he doesn't have that problem. So I'm going to step away and I'm going to let him extract this information out of you. And it was the parallel, like, I have a problem firing people, even when I know deep in my heart that we just need to separate. Yeah. So I have surrounded myself with a core group of people that they recognize that's a weakness for me. And when it's time to get involved with that, I'm going to walk away because I know that it's the right thing to do. And somebody's going to say, oh, somebody else has got to do your dirty work.
No, they've got your back.
And that's exactly it, because I'm sitting there going, what type of dirty work are we talking about? Because if it's taking out the trash, scrubbing the floors, cleaning the grease pits, doing the dishes, no, I'm right there beside you. I will do it all. But I have recognized I got a problem in that area, and I give people too much rope. And because the whole is more important than any one person, they let me know when it's time to sever with somebody, and I just step back and I let them do their job.
Nice. That's cool. Okay. Have you ever been close to going out of business?
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
No.
In 20 years, let's be honest about this. In 20 years, there was easily 5 different times that I was on life support and potentially going out of business. And in that 20 years and through those 5 different times, there was easily 5 year-long periods that it was questionable about whether I was going to survive. Yes. That's the whole. Some people take it negative when I say this, and you know what? I don't care, because the truth is the highest vibration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
99% of people fail in entrepreneurship, and the vast majority that try to get into entrepreneurship, they shouldn't even try, because you look at, if 99% fails, who in their right mind goes down a path that they know that there's a 99% failure rate? Only somebody with screws loose and a little bit insane takes those kind of odds. And some of us get into it not knowing those odds, and then once we get so far into it and we find out about those odds, we're already in so deep that there's no turning back, so we just have to plow through it.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is a losing proposition for so many reasons: people, circumstances, situations, but the ultimate biggest is that when you get into business, you directly go in to compete with the other businesses that have figured it out. Yeah. So you're automatically behind the 8 ball, trying to figure out your day 1 and your day 30 and your day 365, and you're competing against businesses that are in their day 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4, and 5,
yeah.
and they've figured it out. They are the one out of 100 that made it, and now they've figured it out, so they're just executing, and you're on your day 1 trying to compete with them. That is the losing proposition.
Yeah.
Then you get into, well, how well are you funded? How well do you understand managing your finances and numbers? How much manpower do you need? And are you equipped as an individual to manage those personalities? And much like herding cats, are you able to corral them and get them all as a herd to move in a direction? Okay, well, the vast majority of those things are losing propositions. And I haven't even talked about all the ways the government tries to trip you up to fail. So, no, it is a losing proposition. The only reason that we're having this conversation is because I was too dumb to know how to quit or when to quit or to even understand the definition of quit. I was too stubborn to stay down when I got knocked down a dozen times. I just kept getting back up, and that's why we are where we are today. Because no, the business has almost been dead several times, and it wasn't a moment in time. It was for a period of time, and all I could do is say, well, I got here and I screwed it up, so let's go back to the basics. And because I have a high level of accountability, because I was always willing to own my mistakes and always willing to lay out a plan for what I would do to solve my mistakes and continue moving forward, I always had a couple people that were willing to continually bet on me, to give me that second chance to continue down my path and at least not make the same mistake that I made that almost killed me in the first place. And funny enough, I want to acknowledge this. That is pain that I can only with a smile talk to you about today, because I knew that while I was going through that pain, if everybody else knew the pain that I was enduring, they collectively might not be willing to support me, because they would know just how close to the razor's edge we were. And anytime you realize you're there, then your own personal livelihood and security, you start questioning, then you start looking for other alternatives, then you quit contributing, and it was that collective contribution that inevitably allowed us to rebound and get to a better place. So when I was going through all of those painful moments, I wasn't allowed to share them. The only person that truly knows those truly painful moments would be Rebecca and Marcia, my ex-wife, because they were the only ones that I could talk to about it in the midst of it happening. And candidly, Marcia is my ex-wife, because there are many things that go into relationships, but the business tore us apart. That's part of some of the sacrifice that I've made, that I don't have a family that just loves and adores me, because the stress of this business and getting to the other side destroyed it. But I always knew every day, like, you think I'm an ass now, wait till I can't put food on the table, you're really gonna think that I'm an ass. So it was that catch-22 in life of, a couple people knew what I was going through, and a couple people had to share the sacrifices that I had to make, but I couldn't share it with everybody, because if everybody truly knew the pain and the dire of the situation,
they would have been scared too. You know?
Exactly, and I couldn't have that going on in the group, and that is part of the lonely at the top, is that you're going through some things that you cannot always let everybody else know that you're going through them, because it might scare them away from giving their best and helping and contributing to get to the other side. And that's
because we're kind of all in this together too, you know.
Absolutely. No, and that's if we succeed, it's not because of me, it's because of all of you.
Yeah, it's because we're all working together.
Yes, but if we fail, it's mine to own individually. No, if we fail, nobody is going to come running to say, hey, we're here to help you share that responsibility. It doesn't happen like that. Like, if we fail, everybody's running for the hills, and they're like, he fucked up. He killed it all. He's responsible for it all.
It's just a legend at that point.
Exactly. But if we succeed, then they're looking at me like, who are you going to give this credit? So I don't. If we succeed, I take no credit. It's all of you. But I fully know if we fail, I got to own it all.
Man, that's understandable. Have you ever thought about what other business you could have created besides coffee and Pizza Junkiez?
Yes, I have thought about it many times. That's why I bought some businesses that I look back and I wish that I had not bought them. But when I look at my mentality as who I am as an individual, the food and the beverage aligns, because it is about community, it is about family, it is about serving other people. And from a blue collar background, like, I never knew to get into coding and embrace the internet in its early years. I never had billions of dollars and coming at it from an engineering aspect to say, I'm going to learn how to make a transmission marry up to an engine and I'm going to create cars. Because I mean, like, if you decide that you're going to get into the car industry, you're going to invest billions of dollars in the research and development, and then you're going to have this thing, and then you're literally going to have to wait 3 years before you literally get it out on the road to be able to start generating revenue for all the investment that you made. For being blue collar background, food and beverage was, I have enough money to get the doors open, and I can get product delivered to me, and a customer will come through and I can give them an end product and they give me money right then and there. I don't have to wait that 30, 60, 90 days in accounts receivable. And again, it's that dealing with the community, that face-to-face service. The food and beverage industry is such a hard industry to win in, but personality-wise and background-wise, it's what aligned best with feeding to my strengths and my capabilities in general.
Yeah, and it's really worked out.
Yeah, you know? No, and that's what I'm saying, is that over time, now, yeah, you can look at it and be like, it's really worked out.
Yeah, it really has.
No, but in the first 5 years, not so much. The first 10 years, he might make it. The first 15 years, he might be on to something, but he has a whole lot that he has to execute on.
Yeah, still so much to learn.
Yes,
like, get better.
But Coffee Junkiez turned 19 years old on November 8th of 2024.
Yeah, and that was a busy day. That was a really busy day.
So it's we've got something good, and we've got something duplicatable, and we still have to prioritize executing with every individual customer as if they're only customer, and executing every single day, because if we take any of it for granted, even after 19 years, it could all fall apart.
Yeah, that's how I feel whenever I make a pizza. I'm like, I'm making some family's night right now. You know? I could ruin it, or I could make it a great night for them. And like bringing people together over pizza, it's just kind of cool to think about, you know? It's like every single pizza I make, I'm like, man, I'm really, like, these people are about to have a great time, hopefully, eating this pizza, getting together, sharing it, like, as a family. It's like, they chose their night to like spend it like using pizza junkies to bring them together. You know, it's like,
no, and that right there, that is that, because it's like comfort food. Like you can't wait to sink into comfort food. That was the program that I wanted. I wanted to be proud of what we're serving, but it takes everybody having that pride of executing on every cup, on every pie, every single day. And most people, employees, customers, they'll see a really busy day and they're like, oh, you're a millionaire. Everything's just so fine. Okay, well, one, small business is not like that. Yeah. But as soon as you take one customer for granted, as soon as you stop putting pride in every pie, it can all go away just
as fast.
Yes. I mean, like 19 years worth of hard work could be destroyed in 1 month if the wrong people stopped taking pride in what they were doing. If we stopped focusing on culture and team building and everybody taking pride on their job, you could literally destroy 19 years worth of work overnight.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's the
horrible.
And so I'm focusing on right people and right culture so that we are never taking our customer for granted and always taking pride in everything that we put out the door, because you have a lifetime value of a customer, but in the food and beverage industry, you don't unlock that lifetime value just all of a sudden because they walked in the door. Every time they order, you either meet their expectations or you don't. And if you don't, you have just stopped unlocking that lifetime value of the customer. But as long as you meet their expectations every time, you're giving them and reinforcing their, like, after they try you the first time, they're debating on whether I should be loyal to this business. And every time you meet their expectation, you're reinforcing a reason to be loyal until you screw up, because all business screws up. Yeah. How are you going to handle that screw up? You're either going to reinforce that loyalty or you're going to destroy it. And it's just like you can spend a lifetime building up respect, rapport, reputation, and make one wrong low character move and you can destroy it overnight. Yeah. So in that respect, it's like I'm like 19 years in. I'm more concentrated on protecting it and reminding everybody of how important it is for every cup, for every pie, for every customer, because I don't want to take any of it for granted.
Yeah, especially if it's a new person, like walking in the door, their first experience, you don't want it to be bad at all.
No, and that's what kills me is that 19 years in, we're still having new people first experiences in this community, and I'm like, I'm chomping at the bit to get into new communities to share this cool thing that we've got, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't want to take none of it for granted.
Yeah, all right. Have you ever thought about creating a commercial?
We've created a lot of commercials.
Really?
Yes. That's, if memory serves me, I'm sitting here thinking about, we did a White Lightning commercial for the 6-shot vanilla latte. And it was purposely produced by the TV station specifically for putting it on TV. I think that you walk that fine line today in social media with, is it original? Is it authentic? Is it genuine? But so much of all of it online, it's all a commercial. And that's the trying to, it's a commercial and it's an advertisement, but I'm really trying to be like genuine and authentic and original, hoping that it resonates, but it's all an advertisement to say, come give us a try. We are worth trying, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's plenty of like free ways to like advertise nowadays. Yeah.
No, in the very beginning, I was willing to try it all. In the very beginning, when I had to deal with the TV stations, I thought that I had stumbled across this major deal where I was going to be able to produce a commercial for about somewhere between $200 and $300, and I'm like, well, for $200 or $300, I'll produce a dozen commercials. And they were like, oh no, we're producing your first commercial for $250. Every commercial after that is $900. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm only producing one commercial.
Just one. Yeah, there are plenty of other ways to get people in.
And that was exactly it. So and again, social media has just changed everything so much where, like, I get, you got people that are trying to get attention to call themselves influencers so that somebody will pay them to produce a commercial for their product. And I'm like, so it's all a commercial, but you try and be as authentic as possible.
All right, here's my last question. Have you ever played any video games?
I have. And I mean, this is funny enough, because I'm sitting there thinking about all the questions that people have asked me. So when I was younger, and I'm saying it like that to circle back around to a point, as a kid, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaga was my all-time favorite as far as arcade game.
All those games are really good. I like Dig Dug a lot.
But Dig Dug was one of those where, as a kid, I want to say it was like a Commodore 64, still floppy disk.
Yeah.
And as a kid, yeah. But when things started to evolve into PlayStations and whatnot, I really liked playing Madden.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I want to say it was called Need for Speed, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called, Need for Speed.
Yep, okay.
Or Gran Turismo, either.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing the early versions. And when the Xbox came out, it was all over.
Man.
Too many damn buttons. Too many left, right, hold, backspace, lift, for what, like... it was just too much. It got to a point where it was like, this is turning into a semi-professional thing. So it was no longer fun for me. I enjoy the people that get into all that weird and like this finger and this one and this one and this one.
This one to like press buttons.
In this sequence to get this special move. I will sit back and admire and watch how you're able to make that shit do what you want it to do. But when it got that complicated was when I threw my hands up and I was like, I'm done with it. I don't. When we had more of the basic controllers, I could get the goes in a direction and a couple buttons and two top buttons. But when it turned into six buttons, trigger button, top two buttons, bottom, it just got to the point where I was like, this is too much. For me, it took the enjoyment out of it, but that's because I came from the Atari paddle, one button. I'm pumping him up, Dig Dug to blow him up, to tunnel, to
yes. Like you gotta like press the button multiple times.
So when I was a kid, I loved video games, but video games, even in younger years, outgrew me to the point of complexity of me saying, I got to a point, I had a friend of mine that he was really good with that shit. And I would sit down and I would watch him play because I would enjoy seeing the graphics evolve and the realism get to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I had no desire to invest that kind of interest in playing what I saw was a dumbass video game. And then it ain't no different than like pro sports. Everybody's like, oh, I could be a quarterback. I know that there are some people that take it so serious that they have went on to truly be able to turn it into a career and make money out of it. I play video games to literally enjoy it and pass the time. And when the complexity outgrew me, that's where I was like, okay, this isn't my thing no more.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed me some Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Galaga. I still love stepping up and playing Galaga.
Yeah, there's an arcade like near Harvey Hinklemeyer's that has like all those games.
All the old ones?
Yeah, all the old ones, and they're really cool. And there's like leaderboards that you can like compete in. If you ever wanted to check that out,
I might have, because the thing is, there's something to be said from the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
But I come at it from a perspective of enjoyment. That I'm not going to take it serious. It doesn't matter how well I score. I'm playing that game for the enjoyment of it. Because entrepreneurship it's a game. And it is a really hard game to play. It's really, really hard to master. And it's very gratifying when you can master it. I would venture to say that only politics is more of a blood sport than entrepreneurship. And funny enough, I think that the people that enter into it are lesser of individuals. I have less respect for the politician than I do the entrepreneur. And I don't know, maybe it's just politicians have lower character, so they don't have a problem being a pig that gets down in the dirt and wrestles with other pigs.
Yeah, that's just not something I'd ever want to do
no,
for like...
The complexity of it though, where it's like, I look at them and I'm like, it's real easy to spend our tax dollars, but you've never had to meet a payroll. I have respect for the entrepreneur that understands the pressure of having to employ people and having to play by the rules that the government system has actually set up. Yet, again, I know politics is way more of a brutal blood sport, but entrepreneurship is, from what I have found, the hardest game to play, and it takes all of you to play the game.
A lot of learning, a lot of experience, a lot of trial and error,
and a lot of delayed gratification. As to where video games, I don't know that the delay for the simpler video games, and that's my whole thing of, if I want to enjoy myself, okay, I can play those simpler video games. But the way video games have evolved, it's just not a.
Yeah, there's this game called Rain World that's kind of like that. It's like the more you play and the better you get, the more rewarding it feels to play it. And it's like, it's basically like an ecosystem where you have to like survive like while all these things are trying to eat you. And like, it's just really hard. But like learning how to move around and like do all those things, it like actually pays off and feels really good. And it's like a whole different experience from what you were first doing, just running around trying to escape everything. But now you can like roll, you can like dash, you can do all this crazy stuff, and it's really cool. It's like all that experience I put into the game, it's like it's paying off in like a different way that no other game really has.
Really? My kids were into this game called Kingdom Hearts.
I know that game. Yeah.
Okay, that was a whole new level for me where I'm like, this isn't an action game. This is a maze type game.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I didn't have, because I don't, the patience to, I just didn't find it gratifying in general, but gaming has evolved.
Yeah, it really has.
So, yeah, no, the thing is I'm sitting there going, I don't want to badmouth it in any way, because it's the opportunity for people to unplug, and if that's what you find enjoyment in, it got to the level of complexity where I quit finding enjoyment in it, and I didn't see it as a way to put food on the table, because I know that there are some gamers that they put a lot of food on the table because they've gotten really good at gaming, and I'm like, those are those few people that can say, I followed my passion and look at what happened. And I'm like, I don't believe in that follow your passion shit. I think you should follow your competency, and when you get better at it, then it can become your passion. Very few people are able to be like, I love playing video games all my life, and it was my favorite thing, and I just followed my passion. But
yeah, like very few people can do that. It's like, it's just like, it is like kind of a luck thing, you know? Like, it's like how you were saying, like 99% of people fail. Like a lot of people who get into gaming, they probably do fail. They give it a shot, but I mean, as long as they're enjoying it, there's still some enjoyment to come out of that though, you know? It's like putting yourself out there and like just doing what you want and what you love with like no repercussions really. I can see how that can be like rewarding and like...
And don't get me wrong, you've like in the fighting games or in the football, the special moves are so complex that when you can manipulate the character and make it do what you want it to do, I can see how that could literally be like gratifying and rewarding, that you have figured out the system, that you're able to see your hand-eye coordination and getting better and better and seeing it on the screen. I get it.
And having people like be interested in seeing like all that stuff that they wish they could do and like try and get better at it, and like there's just like a whole market for that, I guess. You know?
No, because I remember when I was a kid, it was, that stuff will rot your brain. You shouldn't let your kids do that. And then as we got a little bit older, it was like, if you're good at video games, it's really good for hand-eye coordination. Yeah. So then the world kind of, you know what, let them play their video games. They are developing a certain amount of skill in it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sport. It's like a commutative thing. Like everybody's trying to get better, and it's like watching people who are good. It's like it's cool. It's like soccer. It's like watching Messi, like watching him go crazy and go so fast. It's like, man, he's so fast. And it's just like I can see people who like watch video games and are like, man, he's so like good at that thing, and like I think that's kind of cool.
No, and that's that. And when you get into that, is it a talent or is it a developed skill? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know which one you more appreciate, because it is a beautiful thing when you can witness and experience and see raw talent. But most of it is a lot of man hours put into a skill development, and I just think that's more of a encourage the skill development side of it. If you've got raw talent, you're blessed. And you should appreciate and recognize that you were just literally blessed. You did nothing to deserve it. You were just blessed with it. But the person that will literally put in the 10,000 hours and hone and develop a skill to become really good, like that's something worth respecting because of the amount of time that they put into it to develop that actual skill.
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, so my two questions. Like, Velez, you are a great individual. Anybody that employed you would be lucky to have you. Why do you choose to work for me?
I think that you don't just see me as a number, first of all. I think that you see me as a human person, and you're not just like some corporate person in a tuxedo, just like, you're a number. I don't care about you. You can leave or go. Like, you can leave or stay. And like, it makes no difference to me or my paycheck. I think that, like, just knowing that, like, I feel like I have a personal relationship with you in that kind of way. And I think that that's something that, like, I kind of strive to keep up, like I want to like make sure I'm like doing good for like the business, for you. I want to make sure like I'm doing my best and putting my best foot forward, and like bringing the best like for anybody around me, just like being that good worker. I really just want to be that person that people can look up to and be like, hey, I can depend on that guy,
And that's that personal pride, that's that high character, that it's like, it's not about this place, that's about you and your own personal character as a whole. But you're saying that, and I'm like, that's why I wanted to open this up to anybody that wanted to interview me, because that I've had to explain myself many times where I say I support unions, but I don't support unions hardcore the way other people that are union members, like they want me to support unions. I don't support unions in that way. Yeah. I think that when a company is so big and so successful that management quits appreciating people individually and they just become a number, that unionization is the ability for those numbers to consolidate and speak as one voice. And that's why I support unions, because in mass manufacturing, I'm like, I experienced it, I lived it. They treat you just like a number. They don't care about you individually. So collectively, we elected people to speak for us on our behalf so that that individual can go be the face of and represent, because they just look down as numbers on a page. I don't want to be that individual. And I realized that we had gotten to a size where maybe there were people that wanted to be able to have this type of conversation, and I never created the time, space, or opportunity to have this kind of conversation, because I don't want to be that guy. It's like,
well, I mean, now you have. So,
no, and that's the whole point, is that I put my pants on the same way everybody else does. I bleed the same way everybody else does. And I would not want to get to the end of my life and feel like I was one of those people. Like, I don't. Trust me, I want a lot of money in the bank. I want to be, I want to be rewarded for all of the hard work, but not at the expense of having people look at me and say, oh, well, I was just a number inside of his organization. He didn't care about me. It was all about chasing the dollar and the almighty profit. And there is a part of me that's like, I want to compete in capitalism. I believe in capitalism, but
yeah, there's a few quirks with it, but
Yeah, but I want to do things a little bit differently because I don't want to be one of those people. Because I'm not going to deny they demonize capitalism. Because there are a couple people that you can point to and be like, you're a piece of trash that you're willing to step on everybody all in the name of making a buck. Mm-hmm. My thing is, that is the 0.01%. Yeah. And they point that out, and I think that the rest of us are like, wait a minute, we want to make money, but not at the expense of another human being.
Yeah.
We want to build teams that come together that work on something bigger than themselves, mm-hmm. and we all make a lot of money. I want to do it differently, and that's where I want to make sure that I'm always leaving the door open so that people will recognize that it's not like that. I don't want just numbers, because sometimes there is frustration, man. I mean, sometimes it is like herding cats. Getting mm-hmm. a group of people to not just pursue their personal motives, but yet see collectively that the bigger picture, that if you will focus on what's best for the business, that you benefit individually, instead of getting them to connect the dots, that if you just focus on what is best for you individually, you're going to destroy what we're collectively working on, and then you're not going to get what you want anyway.
Yeah.
That sometimes that is a hard feat to get people mentally to understand. Sometimes you have to sacrifice what is in your personal best interest to contribute to a team that is ultimately going to get you to a position where you can pursue what is in your personal best interest. I know that's kind of a tongue tie where I'm like, I don't know if people get that sometimes your personal motives cannot be the priority.
Yeah.
That it has to be the byproduct, that you have to contribute to something bigger so that it can kick off enough that every individual that contributed to it is allowed to benefit to the level of being able to go pursue their own personal desires. Getting them to understand that if all of you just go after your own personal desires, that is the herding cats, and there's no coordination, which means you can't steer a ship in a direction, which means you can't accomplish anything to give everybody what they want so that they can go pursue their own personal desires. Because just like when I got elected, I had a friend of mine tell me, just wait till you walk out crying. And I was like, dude, I just won my dream job. Like, why would I walk out crying until that day came? And it was a day of, I represented 500 people. And that in particular day, I was not able to solve any problems. I was not able to make anybody happy. And I was under a tremendous amount of pressure. And I was feeling like a failure in that day because I cared about my people and I wasn't able to feel like I took care of anybody. And I literally walked out weeping that day. I've had many of those days in entrepreneurship. And that's the frustration where it's like, I love people. It's very gratifying to develop these kind of relationships.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly hard to herd cats and keep everybody going in a direction.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if somebody's not doing it, somebody else is going to do it, you know?
And that's exactly it. Somebody drops the ball, somebody else has to pick up their slack. You ask good people to pick up bad people's slack too often, and sooner or later, those good people throw in the towel and they're like, we're tired of you marrying us to people that won't do their job, and then the whole culture and the group falls apart, and then you got to start and rebuild it all back over again. And that's the responsibility of it, of trying to make sure that we don't let bad influences go in and drag down the entire group.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question. Why should other people patronize Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies?
I thought about this one for a while and I was like, I really don't know. But like, the most common thing I hear from people is just the price. And I feel like even then it's like, that's an understandable thing. The reason why you price the pizzas the way you do, it's like, it's completely understandable. But some people are like, it's too expensive. It's not worth it. But it's like, I mean, I feel like if you think about it for a little bit, you can understand why it is that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know how to answer that question. It's like, I haven't really thought about like, what's something horrible about this place? It's like, I generally can't think of anything except like the pizza price. I don't know. Like,
well, and to go that direction, it's the Cheers concept. I think that everybody wants to be loyal to something. You just need to give them a reason to be loyal to something.
Yeah.
And then giving them multiple reasons to be loyal to something. If you're asking people to be loyal due to your price, somebody else will always come in and undercut you on price, and it's shallow loyalty. You'll never truly gain and build a relationship and have loyalty if the whole relationship is based on price. Yeah. So that was never my priority. I never believed in the race to the bottom of trying to be the cheapest price, because there's always somebody else willing to come in and actually undercut you.
Yeah.
So it was
There's so many people who have so much more experience, like literally across the street, Domino's, like, you know, it is what it is, and it's just like, you got to compete somehow, you know?
Absolutely. So why should people actually patronize us?
I don't know. I really don't. That's the only thing I could think of was the pizza prices. Like,
oh, I thought you were taking that as a why shouldn't, or the bottom as far as because I'm sitting there going, there are people that knock us on the price, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
You're not our customer. Because one, I try and pay people more. Two, I try and put more into the quality of delivering a fresh product. That means my costs are higher. That means I have to charge a higher price. And if your focus is going to be on the price, then you're not my customer. And I'm not going to apologize for wanting to pay my people above average. I'm not going to apologize for wanting to put out a high quality product, but generally that comes at a higher price.
Yeah.
The person that appreciates a high quality product, an exceptional service, is going to be willing to pay a higher price, and they're going to be more loyal to it. So in my brain, those dots connect. That's why price has just never been something it's not been my focus as far as trying to be the lowest price.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt too. I was like, it's a local business, and like, it has to compete somehow, you know? It's got to like try and stay afloat some way. Like, I imagine like if we had the same amount of orders, like, and it was just like the same price as Domino's, we would not be floating this boat.
Yep.
Because like, we might have like some customers, but Domino's has even more, you know?
No. And that's the thing, because I'm sitting there going, if you're looking for people that compete on price, you could throw a stone. It's not hard to find somebody that's trying to get to the lowest price.
Yeah.
But in order to stay afloat at the lowest price, you have to do crazy volume. And mine was, nope, that's not the customer base that I want to build. But I have found pleasantly that if you stick to core principles, there's a certain amount of volume that does come. I think that we are performing volume-wise for what we do above average, but it didn't start that way. It was that not taking those customers for granted and building them one at a time, knowing we're building loyalty based on price. We're building it based on quality and service.
Yeah, and experience.
The experience itself being I'm willing to pay for that because there's a little something extra coming from them that nobody else is offering.
Yeah.
Yep. Velez, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me and like letting me do this.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. I don't think anybody else would ever do anything like this. So it's cool that you give people the opportunity to do something like this, you know.
Well, and that's where it's like the one thing is that I can be described and have been described many ways. But nobody's going to say I'm fake. I am who I am in any situation in general. And I think being comfortable in my skin that way is willing to be an open book. And I think most people they play it a little bit too close to the vest. They're not willing to open themselves up. It's a certain amount of vulnerability. They're afraid of, maybe the questions go a bad direction. And I'm like, it's going to be what it's going to be. But no, I want to build more connection. I think that the purpose of our existence here on earth is connectivity. And that was my hope, is that by doing this, that I would strengthen my connectivity with the entire team.
Yeah, and I feel like it really will.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. Have a great day. Powered by Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies.